Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video I want to share with you my plans for the upcoming 3.16 League launch, and also I want to show you the version of my build that I'm gonna use for the simulacrum farming, and obviously that is gonna be the part of that strategy, and I'm gonna link the PoB for that build in the description. So first thing, in case you haven't watched my previous videos, I am gonna be league starting with Toxic Rain Raider, and again I made a guide on this character, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start as a Raider, and then later on, like way later, when I can afford 2 cluster jewels setup, I am gonna swap it into the Pathfinder, because I just believe later on Pathfinder might be a bit better and much more comfortable with your mana and just flask sustain and so on. But that is subject to change. We're gonna see how it's actually gonna turn out during the league. In terms of the strategy, when I'm gonna be around level 60, so when I'm gonna be done with Merciless Lab, probably around Act 4, Act 5, I am gonna start to do the Heist. So with Heist, I am gonna farm Chaos Recipe. This is why I want the contracts to be at least item level 60. And the strategy is what I also explained in my previous video, which is just going to Akano and buying contracts that are between level 60 and 67. But I am not gonna be de-leveling. I am just gonna buy contracts, run them, and if I'm not gonna get level during contracts, I'm just gonna continue with the campaign, go back when I get to a level, and then buy more, run them, and just run enough of them until I can afford Tabula, Quill Rain, and some nice gear with enough resistances that I can be resist cap once I kill Act 10 Kitava. Then when I actually complete the campaign and I have my starting gear, then I'm gonna jump into Blighted Maps. So Blighted Maps probably are gonna be around 5C, maybe 10C, and I am also gonna do Chaos Recipe over there and just farm low tier Blighted Maps for some nice profits, and eventually progress until I'm gonna be able to do maybe like a early yellow Blighted Maps with free teal oils, so I can do them much faster and still continue to do Chaos Recipe. I do expect this strategy with teal oils and Chaos Recipe is gonna be probably similar profit to the red Blighted Maps, so I might actually not end up even doing the red Blighted Maps. And then I'm gonna farm enough gear, probably like 30 exalts plus, so I can start doing the Simulacrums. And this version is in my second PoB, so I am gonna link this one in the description. So this version is basically the same thing that I had in my previous PoB, but this one is using Elegant Hubris, so that I don't need any attributes, and with Zerfis Heart, which is giving me Solitaire stacks when I use Val skill, but it also increases the attribute requirement on your gear. This is why I am using Zerfis Heart. And Soul Eater is very nice buff for Simulacrum, since Simulacrum waves last around 30 seconds. So for the first 10 seconds, usually it's a bit easy, so you can just gain your Soul Eater stacks and then you use it. And for the remaining time of the wave, you have Soul Eater, you have some nice damage, and also defense, because the skill that is gonna activate my Soul Eater is gonna be Val Grace. So it should be good enough gear. Also, I am using Maloney Mechanism and Unset Rings, because I am planning to level up the gems. So with this bit you can level up around 25 gems. So obviously I am not planning to have exact gear at the beginning. Probably I am not gonna use Maloney at the start. Eventually I am gonna move on to use it. Same for the helmet. Probably I'm not gonna have chaos resists and so on. Gloves probably also do not require cooling strike. This is basically a perfect gear that I would want to have, and I didn't include like resists and life on the gear, but you also have to sort that out. On the cluster, on the normal Abyss Jewel, you don't really need blind on hit because Maloney provides blind, but still having double the chance to blind can be pretty nice, especially with high amount of evasion. For Watcher Y, I did include chance to evade while affected by Grace, but you don't really need it, probably only damage over time multi while affected by Malevolence. But chance to evade I expect to be really nice if you have a high evasion, especially since the new Val Grace is also giving plus 15% chance to evade. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of this build is immunity to ailments. So this Flask Master remove a random elemental ailment, and I believe this is very important to use something like that instead of just Soul of Branking for freeze immunity or reduce effect of shock from the other Pantheon, because in Simulacrums there are the 3 different elemental ailments, so Sap, Brittle and Scourge, and you can't really get immunity to these ailments except for actual all ailments immunity. So like here you get 20 chance to evade elemental ailments, so that includes these 3 ailments. So the way I choose to remove them is through Flask Mastery. Just remove a random elemental element when you use Mana Flask. This is obviously not perfect solution, but it should get the job done. If it's not gonna be good enough, I'm gonna have to look into some other ways. But that's pretty much it. I think this should be good enough. Obviously, I don't expect this to be able to do 30 waves. I think up to like 20, 22, maybe 25, I will be able to complete these waves with this build, but I guess we're gonna see how the scaling is actually with these waves, because we don't know if it's like 10% difficulty with each wave, or is it the same scaling as in previous waves, because if it's the same scaling, it's gonna be insanely difficult, so I don't expect to be able to do it with this build. And if that's gonna be the case, I'm probably later on gonna make a second build, and then I'm gonna complete like 20-22 waves with this build, just so I can level up a ton of gems, and then I'm gonna swap to the second character, and that character is gonna be with less gems to level up, but it's actually gonna be able to complete the last like 8 waves. I'm not sure what that's gonna be, we're gonna have to see. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is having a plan B or even plan C always. So for me personally, when I'm gonna be doing the Blighted Maps, if for some reason a lot of people are gonna do this strategy and price of Blighted Maps are gonna skyrocket, if they are gonna be like 12C plus, I'm probably not gonna do it, and I'm just gonna switch to Heist farming. Because Heist, even though I am doing it only at the beginning, I think later on it's still probably similar to Blighted Maps, might be actually even better than Blighted Maps. I just prefer to do Blighted Maps, this is why I want to swap to them, but still, as my plan B, I might be doing Heist. And then later on, if Simulacrums are for some reason too hard or maybe not profitable enough, my plan B is to do logbooks. And logbooks is also, I'm not really expecting them to be like insane. We don't know how good they are gonna be, so I also have plan C, which is again gonna be Heist. Like Heist is this one thing that you can always rely on, and if anything else fails, you can just go back to Heist, and Heist is just always gonna be pretty insane. And important thing to note is that if you are doing some kind of currency making strategy outside of your Atlas, your plan B and plan C shouldn't be some kind of Atlas strategy, because if you are doing these strategies, you are not progressing Atlas. And if you, for example, farm Heist, farm Blighted Maps, and then you decide, oh, now I'm gonna farm Breaches on the Atlas, then you need to progress your white, yellow maps and so on. And other people are already ahead of you, so by the time you reach the tier 14s and so on, the strategy might no longer be profitable. So important thing to note, if you're doing things outside of the Atlas, don't switch to some kind of Atlas strategy early on. Your plan B, plan C should always be preferably something outside of the Atlas. And we have decent amount of things nowadays that you can do that are outside of the Atlas. So that's gonna be it. I hope all of the strategies work out, but again, Heist is always there as a last result. So thanks for watching and see you next time.